Where is Maury with the lie detector test results when you need him? I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying that it's true. Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Sam. At the end of that last video, I promised that this week's video would be the review Fearing the Black Bodies Part 1, Chapter 1. If you saw my latest Instagram post, you know that I had one heck of a week. On top of dealing with personal health things, it is event season at my job, so things are crazy there. And then my husband went ahead and decided he was going to break his ankle, and he drives a stick shift car, and of course it's his clutch foot, so we had to switch vehicles this week. It has just been a nightmare, and I couldn't put the time and energy that Fearing the Black Body deserves into that video. So I'm going to postpone it. It will be out next week. I just want to make sure that I can put the proper time and attention and editing into that video. This week, I want to talk a little bit about fat phobia messaging coming from our fat activists, and just digging into that messaging and talking about what they think they're saying and what they're actually saying. If you've been around this channel for a while, and many of you have, I see you, thank you, and to new subscribers, thank you as well. You have heard me say that a lot of messaging coming from fat activists is projection of their own anxiety, their own internal thought processes. And so today I want to just deep dive into that a little bit using some of my own past thinking patterns, because don't forget, they got me for a little while. I was sucked right into that world, so I know a little bit about how they're thinking and what they're thinking about. So I just wanted to talk about that a little bit today. I figured I would start with one of the mothership of arguments that they have, which is you can't look at somebody and tell if they're healthy or not. We hear a lot of our fat activist friends saying these things, and we also see their slew of social media posts.
Contrary to popular belief, brought to you by diet culture, weight does not equal health.
No, 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 no!
To anyone that hears this, it comes across like they're saying, you, a thin person, can't look at me, a fat person, and judge my health. You can't say that I'm unhealthy just by looking at me. Where is Maury with the lie detector test results when you need him?
The results right here.
First, I just want to dive into the arbitrary basis on which their arguments lie. So, in this vein, they're saying you can't look at me and say that I'm unhealthy. But at the same time, they're saying mental health is part of my health. And then also saying they have anxiety. Sometimes that anxiety or depression is what's leading them to eat more calories than their body needs. So something is misfiring here. Because you can't have both. If mental health is part of health, and your poor mental health is leading you down this path, then I can look at you, know that you're gaining weight because your mental health is bad, and then that means your health is bad. Because mental health is health, right? So, you see where there's like that juxtaposition of mental health is health, but you can't judge me based on my health, even though it's clear that something is happening, because people don't just lose massive amounts of weight or gain massive amounts of weight without something going on with their mental health. We know this. Now, as I mentioned, I think when they're saying you can't look at me or look at anyone and judge their health, what I think they're doing is projecting and trying to convince themselves that they shouldn't look at other people and judge their health. Let me explain what I mean with a story from my life. A few years ago, when I thought that I wanted to change my life the first time, before realizing that I was not ready to go that route. I joined a gym that was a small group fitness, like CrossFit-y type gym in the town that I live in. I started taking these group fitness classes, and within these group fitness classes, I met a woman who was both an ER nurse and a bodybuilder. In my brain, that had had years of overeating, and at that point, I had not spiraled into binge eating yet. I knew I was unhappy with my body. I knew that I wasn't confident. I knew that I didn't know what I was doing. And so I was looking for anyone who looked healthy and who knew what they were talking about. And lo and behold, here she is, ER nurse, bodybuilder. She knows about medicine. She knows about bodies, and she's been able to control her eating and her physique. And for a long time, when you were looking to lose weight or you were looking to have your body look a certain way, at least a few years ago, the bodybuilder, muscly physique was sort of what you thought was healthy if you were overweight. And I think that that probably still holds true. It doesn't hold true for me now. I understand how unhealthy bodybuilding is, and I see what it does to people's mental health. I'm thinking about making a video on how many bodybuilders have died recently, because it is a lot. But that's besides the point. At one point or another, that is who I looked at, and I immediately said, well, look at them. They're healthy. They're muscular. They're thin. They're everything I'm not and everything I want to be. So I think when our fat activists are saying, you can't look at someone and know their health, they are actively and openly trying to convince themselves that they should not do that. And I'll be honest, the internet is part of the problem. Now, everyone can go on the internet and be an expert, right? That's just what we do. Our opinions matter. Some people present their opinions as fact. And that is just the way that it tends to work now. So in that same time period, I mean, I was looking at bodybuilders. I was looking at athletes who had clearly been doing this for years and years. When I became vegan, I started following vegan influencers who were thin and pretty and who seemed to know what they were talking about. They were seemingly eating these diets and they were getting this physique. Why wouldn't I follow them? What I learned was my bodybuilding ER nurse friend was going through some mental health crises because cutting and cutting and cutting for shows was not beneficial to her life, and she couldn't spend time with her sons the way she wanted to because she was just physically tired. And so not everything is as it seems. That happened to be true for some of the vegan influencers I was following. Two of them, to just throw some shade, because, you know, haven't done that in a while on this channel, are Ravana and what was her vegan channel name? Raw Alignment. Where Ravana and Raw Alignment is now Elise Parker. And these two women were going on and on and on about how great it was to be vegan. And I was watching their channels, watching them do things like water fasts and cleanses and things of that nature, all while eating a raw vegan diet, talking a lot about how it cleanses your body. And deep down, I knew that a lot of what they were preaching was pseudoscience, but they looked so good and their health was great and their videos were vibrant and their skin looked good at the time. And I was like, how could I not follow these people? How could I not do what they're doing? And, you know, why would I not try it? If I don't try it, I just stay where I am in my unhealthy body. Or I can follow these people who look healthy, who look bright, who look shiny, and see how that goes for me. And so that was the route that I took. After years of following them, I finally realized that they were not healthy. They're very good businesswomen, which is what influencers are and what they do. And I will never forget when Ravana was caught with fish on her plate. It was like breaking news in the vegan community. She was sitting with her friend at a restaurant and they started filming, and it was very clear that she was trying to hide the fish on her plate. But the crazier thing is, she and Elise, who both left the vegan movement around the same time and started eating meat right away, continued to sell their vegan diet programs. Continued to leave messaging up saying this is a vibrant way to live. It's a good thing for the environment. You can survive and do it, while simultaneously making videos on their channels talking about how miserable they were as vegans, how much better they felt when they were eating meat. Editing Sam here, I was curious to see if I took a quick scroll through Elise Parker and Ravana's channels, what I might find. And unshockingly, these two still promote raw vegan diets, even if they're not promoting it directly. I can scroll through their channels and still see all of their raw vegan content. They're still getting lots of views on this content, even if it's not what they're actively promoting today. Just once again showing that they're still making ad revenue off of these videos, even though they no longer eat that way and no longer believe those things. So I just wanted to make a point of that. It was so strange. And yet these were the people that I idolized because they were thin and seemingly healthy. So when I left the vegan movement, even before I left the vegan movement, when I found the fat acceptance movement, and yes, there is a movement of fat vegans, it is a thing. It was a weird crossover world, a glitch in the matrix. I don't know, but I'm glad that I'm out of it. It's just difficult not to fall into the messaging. And so something that I told myself a lot when I was trying to break that was you can't look at someone and see that they're healthy. That's just not how it works. And for me, it kind of became a little mantra for myself. Like, don't look at anyone else and assume that they're healthy. Don't follow them just because you're assuming that they're healthy and glowing and vibrant. Like, don't do it. Social media influencers who are in the fat activist movements now are sort of putting that mantra from inside their heads and projecting it out to their audiences, which I find very interesting. Because again, I think they're trying to say, you can't look at me and say that I'm unhealthy because I can't look at you as a thin person and know if you're healthy. And while that's a true statement, you can't just assume that a thin person is healthy. It is clearer the other way around that overweight people are not healthy. Most people carry their weight on their body as a shield, as a mental block, as a physical way to keep people away from them, as a physical barrier to protect them from abuse or things that have happened in their past. And so it's much clearer to look at someone who has that excess weight, who has that barrier, and know that something's going on with them. I'm not saying it's fair. I'm just saying that it's true. And I don't know if anyone else has ever noticed this, but a lot of fat acceptance folks are pretty young when they're out here preaching that you can eat whatever you want and 95% of diets fail and we don't owe you health. Health is not a moral obligation. I'm just curious to see what happens when they grow out of this phase or when they start having real medical issues, because the truth is I spent a lot of time effing up my body in my 20s and my vitals were good and my blood tests were coming back good and my doctor was saying things like, you're healthy. When I hit 29, 30, now I'm 31, The things that I have done to my body are starting to kick my ass. And thankfully, I was never online preaching how great these things were. But there are plenty of people who are. And there are plenty of people taking advantage of this movement, selling books, selling webinars, and just hawking other random crap at these vulnerable women who just are at their wits' end. When they come around and have to change their minds because they've had a health issue, will they continue to sell that health can happen at every size, even though they no longer believe that themselves? I bet they do if it makes them money. They might even be like Ravana and just hide it so that they can continue to make money off of it. It's just absolutely insane that people can do this on this platform. The truth is, it happens all the time. And these folks who are young now and who are vibrant now and who are talking people into these ridiculous concepts will eventually fall out of it. And by that time, they've already sucked in newer and younger folks who will perpetuate this. But the truth is, and I don't mean this to be morbid, there are not a lot of folks who are morbidly or have been super morbidly obese for a long time that live beyond their 50s into their 60s. It's just not a thing. I want to be hopeful that they would come out and say, whoa, 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 hold the phone, I was wrong. But I took a few psychology classes in college, and I know that ego can tend to get in the way, as can money. And some of these people are making bank on the stuff that they're hawking. Because the truth is, an influencer is an influencer is an influencer. Whether they're thin or fat, they're probably still trying to sell you a product. If you were ever in the vegan YouTube community, watching the fallout of ex-vegans was always insane. So I just wonder what the fallout will be of the fat acceptance community. I mean, we see it a little bit with celebrities who decide they don't want to be fat anymore. I'm interested to see what happens when we start seeing some influencers start to change their minds, because it won't be long before the likes of Lizzo and Tess Holliday start to hit an age where they have to actually do something about their bodies. I don't know how they'll spin that, but I'm sure they can figure it out. They've managed to maintain being popular this long when they have very unlikable personalities, so I'm sure they can figure it out. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. I hope I didn't ramble too much. And next week, for sure, we will have the second part of Fearing the Black Body. So if you're interested in that, definitely stay tuned, and I will see you next week. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you next week. Bye.